Gamification in the Workplace, created by Jorge Arellano. What is gamification? Based on some of my peers' discussions and personal experience, people do not really understand what gamification actually is. According to Macy Hall from Johns Hopkins University, gamification is defined as the application of typical elements of game playing, such as rules of play, point scoring, and competition with others, to other areas of activity, specifically to engage users in problem solving. Although it may seem as if gamification is simple, it needs to be well executed in order for it to be efficiently used in an educational setting. This flowchart is outlined in the Practitioner's Guide to Gamification in Education by Wendy Huang and Dilip Soman from the University of Toronto. As you can see, there are 5 steps. The first step is to know your audience. The teacher must know the pain points of their students in order to work around them. This will allow the students to stay focused and stay engaged in the topics. Having a good understanding of who the student is will help implement an effective program. The second step is to define learning objectives. The teacher should have a learning objective that the students must work towards for their students to successfully achieve their goals. This can be anything from completing homework assignments to doing well on exams. The third step is to structure the experience. In other words, how can the program be broken down in order to reach the learning objectives and avoid the pain points? According to Wendy Wang and Dilip Soman, stages and milestones are powerful tools that enable instructors to sequence knowledge and quantify what the students need to learn and achieve by the end of each stage or milestone. The fourth step is to be able to identify resources. This allows the teacher to see which stages from step 3 can be gamified. This section involves the setup of gamification as well. Knowing what can be applied from a game, such as the levels, rules, and feedbacks, are important factors that can be incorporated into the learning environment. Lastly, the fifth step is to apply the gamification elements. Once you know your subject and the information, it is time to apply gaming mechanics into the program. Using specific gaming mechanics such as trophies, leaderboards, and having a storyline are great mechanisms to apply. It is important to note how this concept affects the learning process. To start off, a game cannot be considered to be gamified because it is already a game. This means that teachers need to apply gaming mechanics to their learning in order to encourage positive learning behaviors for their students. According to Ben Leong, assistant professor at the School of Computing, National University of Singapore, there should be a clear understanding that gamification is independent of knowledge or skills. Gamification directly affects engagement and motivation, and it indirectly leads to acquiring more knowledge and skills. This means that gamification allows for students to perform an action in a more successful manner. Also to take note, according to Robert Torres from MacArthur, building on the premise that learning is an immersive process mediated by social activity and technological tools, games and learning researchers have begun to show how the design of video games embed effective learning principles in highly motivating contexts. The final products. Overall, if the implementation of gamification is applied correctly, the final products should be successful. Gamification allows students to become engaged in their learning in comparison to the traditional learning environments of sitting and listening to the teacher's lecture. According to Wendy Huang and Dilip Soman, the delivery of the information can transform a simple or mundane task into an addictive learning process for the students. While the underlying objective of applying gamification to any education program is to prompt some type of behavioral change in the student, many instructors specifically look to tackle the issue of student motivation and engagement during their learning process. It seems here that the main key points of gamification is primarily, besides the fact to teach and learn, to get the student's attention. This can also be applied to my workplace by the means of keeping the user's attention while learning. For example, I will be paying attention to my priority tasks such as the coding elements. However, other aspects such as the onboarding task can be such a drag. With gamification involved, I feel like I would pay attention and learn more than what I had initially. Gamification can work in all aspects as long as it is applied correctly.